story. Welcome to our birth story slash birth vlog, because we didn't get enough footage for a full birth vlog.
Zeke's birth story.
This is the first video of you even seeing him, so we need to introduce him. Oh, stretch. Oh, stretch. Daddy, what's his name?
Zeke Nathaniel Alakai Willkomm.
Baby Zeke. Baby Zeke. He was born on February 17th at 3:59 a.m. and he weighed, you like to say it,
Because you don't remember.
6.47
Ounces.
No, 6 pounds, 4.7 ounces. And he was 19¼ inches long. And that's him. He's a little tiny boy. We're gonna sit here and tell the story, but we also got some clips, so I'll insert them throughout the story where they make sense. And then we got the birth on camera too. So that'll be like the main part of it. You wanna start?
No, you can.
And what part are you gonna tell?
I'll jump in.
If I forget something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first of all, everything was perfect timing. I was telling this boy to stay in until Daddy came home from work because he had his last shift on February 14th, which was Valentine's Day. And then after that, he's off for a whole month. So he came back on the 15th in the morning, and we had plans to celebrate Valentine's Day on the 15th and then just focus on having baby. And then I'd be ready to have baby, because before that, I was like, if I go into labor while he's at work, I don't know what's gonna happen. On the 15th, we had a good day and we went, basically did stuff all day. We went to sushi for like lunch and then went to the beach for sunset and took Rocco and went on a really long walk. Felt like 5 miles. What was it actually?
I don't know. It was long. But his due date is on the 22nd, if you didn't know.
Yeah. He's due February 22nd. We went on a long walk. It was probably like a mile long.
We were at the beach for like an hour.
Oh, so probably longer. But it was super nice. And I wasn't like trying to induce myself at all. And then after that, we came home, played some games. It was just a normal night for us. Went to sleep. And then in the morning, I woke up and I was like, I think I was having contractions all night. I told him. And he, what did you say? No, you weren't.
It was a joke. Obviously, I don't know what contractions are, so I was just giving her a hard time.
I didn't know either, because obviously I didn't know what contractions feel like. And I've been having Braxton Hicks since I was like 20-something weeks. And they've been getting super intense like since like 30-something weeks. So I was like, I feel like these might just be really intense Braxton Hicks, but I couldn't tell because they weren't keeping me up at night, but I was waking up from them and I was like able to sleep around them. So I have no idea how far apart they were, any of that. So yeah, I woke up and I was like, I might have been having them, I don't know. So then I was like, maybe I should just start timing them to see if they're consistent. So then I was timing them and they were 10 minutes apart so consistently. But at that point, they obviously weren't painful at all. They were just, like, I could feel them and they were there. All right, guys, this could be the start of our labor vlog. Today is February 16th. I'm due on the 22nd, so I'm 39 weeks and 1 day. Ever since last night, I've been having some what I believe are contractions. I hate that I can't say that they're contractions, even though I'm pretty convinced they are, because all I've known are Braxton Hicks and like very intense Braxton Hicks, but these are intense Braxton Hicks, and they're obviously still 100% bearable because I'm pretty sure it's still just the beginning. But the reason I think I might be in labor is because I know you're not supposed to have back pain, like lower back pain accompanying your Braxton Hicks, which I definitely do. I definitely feel it. Like, people say that it feels like it wraps around from your back to your like lower front, and that's basically what it feels like. I've been timing them since this morning. I didn't time them at all last night because I was just trying to sleep through them and sleep around them, which I did, thankfully, so I feel pretty rested. But they've been every like 10 minutes since this morning, so if they stay consistent like this, then we could have a baby today or tomorrow. It's actually my mom's birthday today. Yeah, but we have our weekly OB appointment in like an hour, so we're gonna go to that and hopefully she can just confirm, you know, if these sound like real contractions. I don't plan on getting my cervix checked or any of that, but it'll just pretty much be by word of mouth that we find out if I'm actually in labor or not. So yeah, we also had our 39-week appointment that day, which was super convenient. So this was the 16th, and I was 39 weeks in 1 day or something. Yeah, 1 day. So that was at 10:30 in the morning, so we went to that appointment. And this whole pregnancy, I was like, I don't want to get a cervical exam. I don't want to get checked. Like, I don't feel like I need to know. But then when we got there, they were like, we're gonna do a cervical exam. And I was like, okay, I might as well just do it, because I was already felt like I wasn't like starting to be in labor and already having contractions. I was like, I wonder if these are actually doing anything, so I kind of just wanted to know. So then I let them do a cervical exam, which I wasn't going to do, but I was curious. So we did that, and she checked me, and I was at 2 centimeters and She said my cervix was very soft and baby was super low. She touched his head, but I know that can mean nothing and that baby could still come in like 2 weeks from then. So I was like, okay, cool, good to know. So then that was our appointment. At this point I still didn't know if I was like actually in labor yet, because I know people contract and then they just stop and then come back a few days later. But then we just went on with our day again, and then I'd say around like 3 or 4 p.m. right, they started getting a little bit closer together, like sporadically closer, 8 to 10 minutes apart. They were getting stronger. They still weren't painful yet, but I still had to like stop what I was doing kind of for them, whereas before I was literally driving while I was having contractions. I took a shower because I was like, okay, I feel like I am in labor, so I want to be clean. I took a shower to prepare, and then we kind of just slowly just kept doing our thing and then started picking up. Hey guys, big update. Said this morning that I didn't know if I was in labor or if this was going to be the start of the vlog, but it is, because I've been having contractions all day today, all last night. I'm getting one right now.
Start it?
Yeah.
Start the timer. You guys can see what a contraction looks like.
Okay.
5 minutes.
So, basically, from the top, we had our appointment this morning. As I said, hopefully I'm more now, 2 centimeters, and she didn't give me a like percentage for effacement, but she said my cervix is very soft. Still had some hardness to it, but it was very soft, and the baby was super low, and she touched his head. So that was that. At that point my contractions were like 10 minutes apart still, like 8 to 10 since this morning that I started tracking them. And yeah, that was at 10:30, and now it's 6:20 at night. I've been using the app that everybody uses. They're about 6.5 minutes apart now. Almost 5, but some of them are like way off and different. Some of them are like 3, but yeah, that's where we're at. We're planning to stay here, I don't even know how long. They're definitely getting very uncomfortable, intense, and I can't imagine how much more than intense they're gonna get. We'll probably be here at least through the beginning of the night, I imagine. I imagine going to the hospital like in the middle of the night. So our doula still has to come over. I don't know when she's gonna come. Probably in the next few hours for sure, because this baby is coming. You know that, Rocco? Things are getting very uncomfortable and not fun. But my contractions are like 5 to 6 minutes apart. And it's 7:30. Just ate some soup and I'm very tired. Even though I know I'm not going to be sleeping tonight or the nights for the foreseeable future. So we've been in contact with our doula, and she suggested I try to take a warm shower. So we're going to try to do that. I took one earlier, but my contractions weren't this intense yet, so this is going to be very different. But hopefully it helps with the pain management. And then she said she'll check in after that. I could see her coming over within the next couple hours. So we also have a doula whose plan was to come over here, obviously, and labor here with us for as long as we can until we had to go to the hospital, and that's what happened. So we finally called her over, or we were in contact with her all day since like the morning. But she was just like, okay, keep me updated. Like, I'll come over probably tonight, that type of thing. And at one point I was just like, when do you think you're gonna come over? And she's like, whenever like I really needed her. So we probably called her over at like 9, and that's when like I could not really get comfortable anymore.
You took another shower.
I took another shower to try to see if that helped with the pain, and it really didn't help that much. Like the water felt good, but like I just couldn't get comfortable in the shower. Like you just have to stand up straight pretty much, and that just was not comfortable. We did that and that didn't really help, so then she was like, okay, that's when she came over. Once she was here, it just got pretty intense, and my contractions were probably still like 5 to 7 minutes apart when she got here. I still had a lot of time, and at this point we were trying everything, like position wise. Like I was on the medicine ball for a long time. We were trying like positions in the bed for a while. We were trying standing, and nothing really felt good. And he was doing like hip squeezes and counter pressure things the whole time.
The whole time. Probably since like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, like after dinner.
Yeah, like one contraction, we're like, should we just start trying them? And then since then, he didn't stop. So he did them every single contraction.
And there's almost 200 of them, according to the app.
I had the contraction app timer app. We didn't even time all of them, but since we started timing them, obviously, hundreds of contractions. Yeah, so she finally came over, and at that point, things were getting crazy. I could still talk. I couldn't talk through them, but I was talking in between them, and I still felt pretty good in between them. And then as time went on, they were getting stronger, closer together, everything that they should have been doing. For the majority of the time, I feel like I was sitting on the medicine ball because that was what was most comfortable. I was sitting on the ball and leaning like over the bed, kind of. Even like leaning over kind of was not comfortable either. So I was there for probably hours, and things weren't really progressing. Our doula's the one that I was waiting to be like, okay, I think it's time we should go to the hospital, because she's the one that kind of knows the signs and everything. Obviously, I'm the one feeling it, but she knows like the stages and everything. I asked her a couple times, I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, where do you think I'm at? And she just kept saying, like, I think it's still really early. She basically didn't have any plan to head to the hospital anytime soon. And that was pretty discouraging to hear, because I felt like I was progressing. At one point, she wanted to obviously progress things, and so did I. She suggested that I sit on the toilet for 3 contractions, stand up for 3 contractions, and then sit back on the toilet for 3 contractions. And she said that's like her miracle formula for her progressing labor. And let me tell you, it did. Because I sat on the toilet for 3 and they were so painful. So I successfully did those 3, and then I stood up for maybe 2, and then I started puking out of nowhere. But luckily I was literally standing over the sink, so it just basically filled the sink.
And clogged it.
And clogged it with puke. Sorry, TMI, but that's what happened, and that's what happens when you're in labor. I remember reading that like puking is a sign that things are happening, and that like watched another birth story, and she said that it's a sign you're around 7 or 8 centimeters and like entering the transition stage. So obviously that was a good sign that I started puking, because obviously things were progressing, even though it sucked because I literally threw up my whole dinner. So I had an empty stomach basically the whole night. So that happened, and I have no idea what time that was. I think like 12.
Around 1.
Around 1. Around 10 we left?
Like right before we left.
Yeah, so our doula was probably really happy when she saw that I started puking, because obviously things were happening. Contractions were still progressing, so then I was standing up for the rest of them while we were at home, and kind of just like leaning over the dresser. At this point, yeah, it was like 1 a.m. I was exhausted, and it was so hard because obviously I couldn't rest in between them because they were already pretty close together, and I was just like anticipating the next one to come, so I could not rest in between. It just wasn't gonna happen. And our doula could see that I was literally like falling asleep while I was sitting on the ball, and like, but like not in a good way, just like not able to actually rest. And I couldn't keep my eyes open, and it was just really hard. At that point, she said, I see you're literally so tired, exhausted, so I'm gonna give you a few options. She said, we can either stay home, I could try to lay on the bed and I could try to rest in between contractions, or, and then at that point I was like, no, that's off the table, because I could not lay down for contractions. They just weren't working for me. She said, or we can go to the hospital, and you can consider getting an epidural. She said not for the pain, but so that you could actually just like lay down and rest before you start pushing. But she knew that wasn't in our plan. Or she said we could just stay home and keep doing what we're doing. She said we could try like this other position, the lifted tuck or something. Lift and tuck, I think. She's like, or we can just stay home and try that, or just keep doing what we're doing, because I was doing fine besides being exhausted. That was a big decision because I had no idea what I wanted to do besides that I knew that I wanted to sleep. So something in me was telling me that we should just go to the hospital. Obviously God telling me that we should go to the hospital. And at that point I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get an epidural. I'm considering it at this point. I still don't want one because that wasn't my plan. If I wanted to get one, we would have just been in the hospital already and I would have one. So I still didn't want to get one, but I was considering it because I was kind of desperate at that point. So then we were like, let's just pack the car, head to the hospital and see what happens. So then when we were leaving, my contractions started to be like 2 minutes apart.
You thought I was going over speed bumps, but they were just like potholes.
Yeah, we have a 10-minute drive to the hospital, guys. And it was the longest car ride of my life. Worst car ride of my life, obviously, because having contractions while sitting in the car is not ideal. I was sitting in the back seat. Yeah, they were the worst. And I think I had like 3 in the car because they were super close together at that point. First of all, saying bye to Rocco was so sad. 2, my sister came and picked him up the next morning, but we had to leave him here overnight.
He was just playing the whole time while we were...
Yeah, while I was in labor, he was
staying awake till like 1 in the morning, playing fetch with the doula.
And then he just passed out at one point. Car ride to the hospital. We finally got there at like 1:45 or something.
Like 1:45. I texted her at like 1:45.
Okay, 1:45.
Checking in.
Pulled up to the front, like the drop off, and then we got out. And then our doula went and parked the car for us, and she grabbed all of our bags and everything, which was so nice to have her while we checked in, because she couldn't come into triage with us. She had to wait in the waiting room until we got a delivery room upstairs and got actually admitted. That was horrible.
If you don't know, triage is just basically like where it's just one big room, and all that separates the beds are just little curtains, and they have nurses in there, and they basically just rank whoever's most severe to least severe, and then from there, then you get admitted into the hospital and get a room.
We were in the waiting room to even get into triage, first of all, for like 30 minutes, which was an intense 30 minutes too, because I was just contracting in the waiting room. That wasn't fun. But then they finally called us back.
And there's a couple behind us too, and the lady looked like she was having some bad contractions as well.
Yeah, but she was so like cool and calm. I feel like we both were, but she was even calmer than me. So I was like, there's no, like, just thinking, I was like, I feel like there's no way she's further along than me. Obviously people handle it differently, and she was very calm, so props to her. We got called in the triage first. I had to go into the bathroom with one of the nurses because I had to do a urine sample and stuff, and in the bathroom, that was intense. I had like 3 contractions in there, and I didn't have him, who was doing like the hip squeezes and everything for me, so I was literally just hurled over the sink, I don't know, trying to cope, and it sucked. And the nurse was basically just standing there, still trying to ask me questions while I was having contractions. I don't think she realized how far along I was, and that I couldn't talk through them at this point. And also being a first-time mom, like, they just underestimate you. And I was a week early, so the odds were just not in my favor with them, because they didn't think I was as far along as I was, because I was a first-time mom, pretty much. And after that, I finally got to go to the triage, our little station with our bed, where he was waiting for me. I changed into the robe and everything, and then they're like, okay, we need to check you. Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you. We need to check you to make sure you can even get admitted, because I think you have to be like 3 centimeters or something to get admitted into the hospital, which I knew that I was, by the way, but they didn't know, obviously. She checked me, which didn't feel good, by the way. It's not as painful as a lot of people will explain it to be, at least for me, but it still was very uncomfortable, obviously. But I feel like the nurses that I had that have checked me, the 2 times that I've been checked at that point, were very gentle and like slow, so it was fine. But I was having contractions like super consistently, so she had to kind of speedily do it around them. That was kind of scary. So she's like, okay, what do you think you're at? And I was like, an 8. I just threw out a number, I had no idea. And she's like, close, you're at a 7. And I was like, oh, okay. So she was like, you're definitely getting admitted tonight, and you're definitely having a baby tonight. So I was like, yeah, I knew that. But then she ended up leaving and coming back and said that I was actually at a 6.5.
But your cervix was very soft.
But my cervix was very soft and basically almost gone. Usually with cervical checks, they give you like a centimeter you're dilated and a percentage that you're effaced, like your cervix is effaced. But they didn't do that for either of my checks. They just said that it was super soft, so I never got an actual percentage. Triage was honestly a blur for me, because this is where things got crazy.
Yeah,
and I feel like you should take over and I'll add in, because I really don't remember.
Well, then right after that, she's like, okay, if I said you can get an epidural now, would you want to? And she was like, yes. Because she was in a lot of pain, and she was only 6.5 centimeters. She was okay, I'm gonna get started on the epidural paperwork, and we'll work on getting you admitted. And then so 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes goes by, she's still having contractions. And then that's when the nurse came back and told her, all right, you're actually at a 6.5, but we're still working on getting you a room. And then she left, and then 10 more minutes go by, 20 more minutes go by.
Also, they had to monitor the baby, so they had like the monitor straps on me too. She kept leaving so that she could like monitor it from away, but the straps, since I was like leaning over in my contractions and like leaning over the bed, they kept flipping over and like not tracking the baby's heart rate. So that sucks, because she kept having to run back in and like flip it over and like telling him to hold it on my belly, which hurt so bad. Like this, when I look back at it, that like him pushing on the monitor on my stomach while I was having contractions was probably the worst pain out of the whole thing. So that sucks. And I kept telling him like, no, like stop, like just don't touch it. but obviously he had to because they had to monitor him.
And then so after she came back, then 10 more minutes went by, 20 more minutes went by, and 30 more minutes went by. It was like 45 minutes since they told us we're gonna get a room. And then on one of her contractions, like a little bit of blood and a little bit of water came out.
And I remember reaching down because I thought that his head was coming.
And on her contractions, she was like squatting because she felt like she was pushing. The liquid and the blood came out, and I was like, uh-oh, did her water break? Like, it was just a little bit of water, but I didn't know. So I'm like getting ready, you know, looking at the medical gloves, looking at the pads, like I might have to deliver this baby by myself.
Tell them though, you're not experienced. You had training.
So yeah, I thought I was gonna deliver it, and then I was super frustrated because she was in a lot of pain. So I went into the hall, there was no one there, so then I just yelled out like, hey, I need a nurse in here right now, her water just broke. And then finally they came running in and then cleaned it up, and they're like, okay, we need to check you. And then it took like 3 of us to get her back onto the table while she was having her contractions.
Bad, yeah.
And then they checked her and they're like, oh wow, you're at a 9 right now. They're like, okay, we need to get you a room right now.
This whole time my body was pushing, like involuntarily, and I couldn't stop it. I know that can happen, but I didn't expect it to happen for me, especially because it was so fast. So I was getting really scared, and I didn't know how close I was to literally pushing him out.
And then 10 more minutes went by, and finally a nurse came down and she's like, okay, we're taking her upstairs. And they're like, yeah, where's the wheelchair? I don't know. And then I was getting really frustrated. I'm like, come on guys, you guys need to get your stuff together. Like, she's gonna give birth right now. And then got her in the wheelchair, wheeled her up to the 3rd floor. We were on the 1st floor.
I was pushing in the wheelchair.
They got her into a room and they were monitoring her. They had a midwife in the room instead of a doctor to deliver her because she was low risk. While this was happening, they were asking her admitting questions just for paperwork and stuff. And then
I was like, what?
And then one of the other nurses was having me fill out paperwork for the epidural because they were going to give it to her. And then finally the midwife, while they're doing this, decides to check her when we got her on the table.
I was laying on my back. I first was on my back for a while because they had to put the saline lock in and then give me all my wristbands and everything. So I was contracting on my back and then still pushing on my back, but trying not to like actually push, but like my body was bearing down and actually pushing. And then that's when his heart rate started dropping.
So I think that was after she checked you though.
I think it was before, because right when she checked me, that's when we started pushing.
Yeah, while she was on her back and I'm filling out the paperwork, they all made it a big deal to turn her on her side, but nobody told me anything. So they turned her on her side for a couple contractions and they were looking at the monitor, and then I didn't find out till afterwards just because his heart rate was dropping.
I could tell.
And then after a few contractions, they put her back on her back. Then the nurse checked her and she barely put her hand in and she's like, oh, there's the baby's head.
Yeah, my cervix was completely open, gone. Like it wasn't even there.
Let's go ahead and have this baby. And they asked her, do you want the epidural still? You're so close. And she said no.
First of all, because I can't imagine sitting there, because I know it takes 10 minutes to actually get an epidural and you have to be completely still for 10 minutes. And that was not going to happen. So honestly, I don't even think it would have been possible to even get it. And second of all, minutes away. I think I even asked, how, when they asked me if I still wanted it, I was like, how close do you think I am to pushing him out? And they're like, honestly, pretty close. And I was like, yeah. So then I was like, I obviously don't want it anymore because there was no point, and I was so close.
Yep. And then
you want me to tell this part?
I got it.
You're gonna tell the delivery?
I'll tell leading up to delivery. And then so they got her on her back. She's like, let's have this baby. So they start setting everything up. And then they get the mirror so she can see it as well, which is pretty cool.
This way?
And then the midwife was like, oh, he's still in his sack. Do you want to deliver him in his sack still?
Yeah, she's like, but your water never broke. And I was like, it didn't that I know of. We thought it did in triage, but she said only a part, a small layer of the membrane broke along with the bloody shell. But my water was still completely intact when she checked me. That's when she said, he's still in his sack. Do you want to deliver him in his sack? So, and I guess if I said no, she would have... Okay. If I said no, she would have broken my water, I guess. I said yeah, because I knew it was super rare to be able to do that, especially in a hospital. I thought that was unheard of in hospitals. I've seen so many home births be able to do that, but I never thought that'd be possible for me. So I was so excited too when they said that. Our midwife was so excited that she was going to deliver him. It's called in-call in their sack. And our doula was like, that's so awesome too. So it was just super exciting.
And then she started pushing, and the midwife was like, all right, because he's in his sack, it's going to look like a snow globe coming out. And it did.
That's his favorite part.
That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. I want to point something super cool out when you start pushing. It looks like a snow globe with the bag of waters like that.
And I remember right before I started pushing, I was like fully there. Like I was able, like I even told him, I was like, go get the camera, like go set the camera up. And I was just so excited. Like obviously I was still contracting and in pain, but I was so excited and I was so ready.
Also, I couldn't find the birth plan.
Yeah, the nurses were asking me for the birth plan when we got in there, and this is when I was totally out of it, could not talk. And I just kept saying, it's in the bag, it's in the bag. He's like, what bag? And guys, he knew this before. And I said, my bag. Which one's your bag?
Well, and then
the brown one.
Tore it apart and I couldn't find it, so.
But our doula was there, she had it on her phone, so she just showed them really fast on her phone. The best part, the delivery. After they said that it's gonna look like a snow globe, it did. We started pushing. It was like 3:54 at this point. I think when I first started pushing. Luckily we have so many pictures to be able to track like the timing of everything that our doula took, which is super cool. But yeah, we started to see the sac and it was bright green. Automatically knew that that's because he pooped in his sac, which could be really, really bad, potentially. Yeah, so that as soon as they saw that, they called in the NICU team just in case to be able to take him right after if anything, God forbid, were to be wrong with him because of him pooping in the sack. So then they had everyone, they had a bunch of extra people just standing in the back, which was whatever. I didn't care at that point.
We're just gonna call the I'll get the warmer pediatricians for the birth just because I know the baby normal.
You just focus on what you're doing. We've got the rest of this over here.
And then they're like, okay, go ahead, start pushing on your next contraction. And I was like, okay. So first push, like half of his head came out. He was crowning. The ring of fire was real.
I never knew she had such strong grip strength.
I was holding his hand. I was holding his hand with one hand, and then I think like the bed.
The railing.
Yeah, the bed railing with the other one. Intense, you guys.
So go ahead and push. Push, Robert. Good job. Good.
Hold down towards your bottom.
There you go. Good job. Perfect. Yeah. Beautiful.
You got this.
Good job. Perfect. Very good. I'm just going to have you feel her. Yeah, go ahead and put down like you're going to the bathroom. Let's do it. Let's go. Right here. Turn your chin to your chest. Go. Good. Just like that. Go. Good. Yes. Good. Just like that. Good. Don't be afraid. Deep breath in and push. There you go. Good job. Go. Good. I'm gonna hold the legs. I gotta get a little closer. There you go. Okay. Good job.
You can do this.
There you go. Good job.
You're doing it. You've got this. Move towards that intensity.
Good job. So, okay, remember what I said about slowing it down? Baby doesn't love crowning. So, next contraction, let's push as hard as you can. Okay? You got this. You're gonna get your boy.
Take care of you. Okay? You just move right towards that intensity.
You're a rocket. You are a star. Actually, will be my second unmedicated tonight. Wow. Go. Good. Just like that. Go. Good. Yes. Good. Go. Good job. All right, right back at it. Let's go. There you go. Push. Good. Just like that. Go. Good.
There you go.
Good job.
Amazing.
Good.
Awesome, yes.
Yes. Put your bottom down. There you go. Just like that. Go. Good. Just like that. Yes. You're almost there. You go. Good. Come on, baby. I've got a little cord. That's okay. Oh, double. I'm gonna summer.
Okay. It's okay. Your baby's going to be coming.
There we go.
Serious? Out.
Sorry. Double cord in the call. Pretty miraculous. There you go.
There's your baby. Alright, I'm going to suck your knife on top of it.
Good job.
But it's already crying. Listen, actually, look. Yeah, they go.
Yeah, you're cute. You got a blonde baby. Or maybe a redhead. I don't know. Over here.
It might be an illusion. Give me a little bit.
Yeah, you're cute. Whoa. Double cord in the call. Hey, that was pretty special, girlfriend.
Adjust him a little bit because his cord is
Pretty
short.
good baby for a double cord.
Yeah.
Oh wow, and a long. Oh, it's a long cord now.
Yeah, I know it is. You want to sit on my head?
Not on my side.
Oh really? Look at this beautiful cord. It looks like a necklace.
Yeah. Put it right on you, honey.
We're over a minute and the cord's actually totally done pulsing. So if you're okay, we'll cut. You'll cut, of course.
Yeah.
That's your job. I can't believe you beat everybody that's been pushing for 2 hours. You are a warrior. Well done. It is officially a boy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just right there. It's like cutting a gummy worm. Good job. You are a rock star. Whoa. That was amazing.
You just have an unmedicated birth.
An unmedicated birth. Baby born in the backwater with a double cord around the neck.
Yeah. Okay, he's flipping you off. I don't think it means anything.
Unmedicated.
Oh yeah, look at that knock out. Good
Oh,
boy.
you guys have, he's cute.
He's cute.
Also,
he's feisty.
For that much, like meconium and the cord and the D cells, he's like doing great.
Yeah. He's feisty.
I love his
Feisty is
personality.
good. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah, of course.
So yeah, first push, half of his head came out. Second push, his full head came out. Third push, his body came out. And he was out on the third push. And in 5 minutes. So he was still in a sack, but it like popped, or she popped it or something as his body was coming out. And that's when they noticed the cord was double wrapped around his neck, which is probably why his heart rate was dropping earlier while I was laying on my back, because he was just getting real squished in there. So she was able to like maneuver it off and like flipped him around as he was coming out.
Like a army roll with him while he was in the sack.
And that like untangled him
A little bit.
and then she got it off after.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was double wrapped. I had a super long skinny cord. He got placed in my chest and he was perfect. He started crying right away. They had to suction him, obviously. He had poop all over him though.
Yep.
But that was his delivery.
And
And then
then they delivered the placenta.
oh yeah, we delivered the placenta, which didn't hurt at all. It just felt weird, like a huge squishy thing coming out of you. And then she like showed us the placenta too and like explained it to us, which was so cool.
The outside, she flipped it inside out, and it was
Yeah, she like opened the sack where he was in.
Did we know that the insertion was like marginal? Yeah, so the insertion's like way at the edge, but this is the tree of life. Okay. Lots of calcifications, like it looks like an older placenta. And then baby, well, you're very familiar with the bag of waters because you watched the baby be born in it, but this is where baby lives. And then this is your side, it looks like a liver.
Hiding on the 3D ultrasound, he was hiding against that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I could see his face.
We did like the golden hour thing where he laid on my chest for an hour after he was delivered. And our doula was not trying to get him to latch yet, but just like putting him next to my boob just so that he could like gain interest in it, you know? So then we did that for a while.
And I cut his cord too.
He did. He cut his cord. It like drained super fast too, so he cut it pretty early.
Okay.
We did so good. I can't even. So good.
Say hi.
You found your thumb.
I almost passed out. Just kidding.
And then after like an hour, I guess, they took him. Oh, after he first tried to latch, they took him, did his weight and everything. We were all guessing his weight. They measured him.
6'4", 7". I know. Let's see how long you are.
Of you?
Not of me. Cleaned him up. He did his first diaper.
Everyone was impressed.
Yeah. And then at this point, they were still monitoring me, and that's when they realized that my heart rate was so high. It was like 145 or something, which they were kind of concerned about. They were like, you don't feel like your heart's like beating out of your chest? And I was like, no, like I felt completely fine. Obviously, like, I was high on adrenaline, but I didn't feel like my heart was beating super fast, crazy. So they were kind of concerned, and they just, I guess, asked a bunch of people. So then, since I had a saline lock on, I didn't have an IV at all during labor, but they offered to give me... my gosh. They offered to give me a bag of fluids just to hydrate me to see if that would help with my heart rate. So then they gave me 1 bag of fluid. I don't even know if that ended up helping. I don't remember. But then after that, they just had to keep monitoring me. So they did an EKG and a chest x-ray and all that. And everything came back completely fine. My heart rate was just super high. Like my blood pressure was fine and all that. But yeah. But I've always had a pretty high heart rate. So it didn't really concern me. Like obviously not super high, like almost 150 like it was. But I did just give birth and everything was crazy. So makes sense. But Zeke was perfect, completely perfect. All they said was that he was borderline jaundice, but then after that they weren't concerned at all.
And he was blonde?
Yeah, when they first saw his head starting to crown, they said, "You have a blonde baby." And I was like, what? We didn't think he was gonna have any hair, let alone it be blonde. But it was. I think after that we got transferred to recovery 4 hours later, around 8 a.m. and we had him at 3:59. And after that we just lived the postpartum recovery life at the hospital.
Super tired.
Super tired.
All-nighter.
From labor.
But they had a mattress for me, which was nicer than her hospital bed.
It was bigger
That was
than
on top
bed,
of the couch in the room, so that was nice.
What they say about like after you give birth, like forget about everything and like just completely like wake up and aren't tired anymore. That was true. Like right after I pushed him out, I felt like so energized, and honestly because he was there and then I knew my labor was over. But I also want to say, for me, I feel like contractions were 100 times worse than actually pushing him out, but that's just for me. I know pushing can be intense for a lot of people, and it was intense, but contractions were more painful for me, for sure. But yeah, I was also anemic afterwards, so they were a little bit concerned with that too, and they wanted us to stay an extra night, but I was like, I want to get out of here. Like, I feel pretty fine. And then they gave me an iron push transfusion. Not a full bag, just a little syringe type of thing. And then they let us leave. So that was nice. So we left on the 18th around like 5 p.m. and we had him on the 17th in the morning. So we were only in the hospital for a little over 24 hours.
We were supposed to leave at 11 to 1, but then they had to monitor her, so that we ended up leaving at 5.
But that's the story.
And he
Crazy
has
experience, but the best experience ever.
his mark.
Oh yeah, they're birthmarks. They call them stork bites, right? Stork bites. I never even heard that before. I thought they were just birthmarks. He has a literal heart on his forehead, which is so precious and my favorite thing ever. And then he has the same nose and upper lip ones that I had when I was a baby, and the back of the neck. And he also has them on the back of his head. Are you smiling?
At first they thought they were just bruises from coming out so fast, but
But since he was in a sack, it also didn't make sense. He wasn't like rubbed up against anything because he was still in the sack. So
and that's it.
that's it. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, because I'm pretty sure we said everything, but I'm pretty sure you probably still have questions about certain things.
So the craziest part was just her, for me at least, was just her almost giving birth in triage.
I dilated from a 6.5 to basically a 10, a 9 or a 10 in triage in like 45 minutes. Also, as I mentioned before, a doula couldn't even be there, which was the time that we needed her the most, because that's when everything progressed the most, and she couldn't even be with us. She was in the delivery room as soon as we got in there.
With all of our bags.
Yeah, and she was awesome. I'll link her below because we really did like her and plan to use her again for our future babies probably. And we also have some random clips from the hospital from after the birth, so I'll insert those to end the video.
Okay, it's almost 7:40 and we finally got him to breastfeed.
He's been sleepy, so he didn't want to before, but he's latched now. It's 2 p.m., 2:10 p.m. The day baby was born, even though it doesn't feel like the same day because it felt like a whole other day. I can't wait to share the whole story, so you guys are in for a treat, because that was the craziest thing of my life and the hardest thing of my life, best thing of my life. Look at him, he literally has a heart on his forehead. But yeah, not much to update you on other than baby's here. I have to say a minimum of 24 hours, so the earliest we could be discharged tomorrow, it says, is 11 a.m. Discharge time is 11 to 1, so everything's going well.
Are we to leave at 11 tomorrow?
It says 11 to 1, so anytime between then. Everything's going well with both of us now. He's perfect. He's been perfect. I had like tachycardia right after birth. My heart rate was like 140 something, so the doctors were very concerned. I got an EKG and that was all normal, and then I got like 1 bag of fluid to hydrate me because I didn't get an IV when I got admitted. and now it's better. But also, that was a crazy experience, so it makes sense that my heart rate was through the roof, but they were just trying to make sure. I'm glad they did, but it's a little bit lower now, so that's fine. But other than that, everything's been perfect. But yeah, he's been feeding only on my right boob though, so we gotta work on the left one. I feel pretty good, other than everything's really sore down there right now. Other than that, pretty good. I'm gonna try to take a shower right after this and get all clean and get comfy clothes on and all the stuff. We just ate for the first time. I had chicken tenders and green beans, mashed potatoes, applesauce, fruit, graham crackers. He had a burger and potato wedges that he said weren't that good. Pretty much the update. He's just perfect and he's so tiny. I'm gonna try to shower and probably take a nap because I only napped like 20 minutes this morning. And after that, I'll probably be more alive and want to share more. But for now, this is goodbye and see you later. Little boy is a full day old and he loves daddy.
Getting ready to leave the hospital. How's your experience so far?
Breastfeeding kind of hurts right now because he eats literally for an hour and a half straight pretty much, with like a tiny break in between. But yeah. Thanks for watching our birth story. Baby Zeke's birth story. He's an angel baby and we love him so much. He's growing. His umbilical cord fell off today.
Yes. It started to smell really bad, so I wanted it to fall off as fast as it could. And Rocco loves him.
And Rocco loves him. Rocco's an amazing big brother. Daddy, that was too loud. Anything you want to say? Thanks, guys.
Put me back.
Thanks for watching. Love you, and hopefully be back to regular vlogs soon, but now with a baby and as a mom. Say bye, baby. See you in our next video.